Hello everyone, Counterspell Hater here, back with another EDH guide. Before we get into this video, I'd like for you to please like and subscribe. We're at 35 subscribers. I'd like to keep seeing that number go up. You guys have been really good about that lately. Thank you to the 35 of you who are still currently subscribed or have been subscribed from the beginning. And you can be one of those people by clicking that subscribe button or tapping it, whichever you prefer, and then like the video. Don't forget to comment, as if you are the first to comment, then you can pick out a commander and maybe even a style for it if you're feeling spicy. Then you can make the request, and I will fulfill said request. So like you want Ramos artifacts, no problem. Or something like that. And don't forget to the notification bell, that way you don't miss any of my content, and share this video along with other videos found on my channel with other people. With that said, let's get into today's EDH guide. This one is blue-white, Denry Flynn, editor-in-chief. So this is a not counter spell, counter matters deck, revolving around putting a lot of like maybe plus counters or like keyboard counters onto our non-token creatures when they enter the battlefield. And making sure Denry here has a lot of counters on him. So we have some synergies. So first, let's start off with like the Ozolith. If our commander has a lot of counters on him and he leaves the battlefield for whatever reason, the Ozolith is here to keep those counters. And I mean, this turn one, 3 turns later, you get editor in chief. If you get the lands, of course. So, and this can keep not just plus counters, but double strike counters from Avenging Hunt Bonder, Keensight, Vigilance counters from Keensight Mentor, Lifelink counters from Splendor Mare, flying counters from Avian Oddity, things like that. And with those counters, we've got things like Thumbing Bird to proliferate, which will be nice. Add more counters to our commander, so then when future non-token creatures on the battlefield under our control, after that, proliferate activation, they will become even stronger than what they would have been. Abzan Battle Priest to give our creatures with plus counters on them lifelink, in case we don't have lifelink counter on our commander. Mindless Automaton to help us draw cards, benefit from being able to put a lot of plus counters on it, other than just the 2 it enters in with. Simic Manipulator can help us gain control of a lot of powerful creatures like a Uro or a Primeval Titan or a Galta, depending on how many plus counters he has. Simic Manipulator has on it here, and because of Evolve, it'll be even easier to get those plus counters. Treskelion allows us to turn plus counters given to it into damage. So we have a way to kind of go aggro on turn 6. If we're playing it at that point. Crystalline Crawler, amazing for mana ramp, especially in this deck. So say our commander has like 12 plus counters on it. With Crystalline Crawler here, we'll be able to play it, and then we will have like 13 mana on the spot in trade for did I say 13 plus counters? Or was it 12? Whichever. We'll have like that much amount of mana on the spot with Crystalline Crawler because it's not a tap ability, and we can use it more than once each turn. So this will allow us to really get ahead and have some gnarly turns, especially with another card in this deck. It's not Sanctuary Warden, but Sanctuary Warden is still pretty cool. This allows us to create kind of an army and draw some cards by removing counters from creatures or planeswalkers we control when it attacks or enters the battlefield. And it enters in with 2 shield counters on it. It's kind of a form of indestructible coming from New Cabina. Now we have modular cards, which is amazing in this deck. Arcbound Overseer with modular 6, and in addition to that, it's going to be getting even more counters, and can also build up our modular creatures. Our Arcbound Hybrid to be aggressive, amazing in this deck. And the reason I have these creatures in here is because when they die, all their plus counters are transferred onto another artifact creature, another target artifact creature. So it can be put onto like Arcbound Lancer here, which is like a great body because you'll have first strike. So then in that case, you've got a great attacker and or blocker, depending on what you prefer. And I don't know how it would work with Ozolith. That would be pretty interesting. Please comment that down below. I want to know the interactions with modular and the Ozolith. That'd be interesting to know. Arcbound Stinger can be a big flyer. Arcbound Mouser, I think it is, for lifelink, so it can help us stay in the game. And it's a 1-drop. Arcbound Worker, 1-drop. Arcbound Slith, yeah, I think. When it deals combat damage, it puts a plus counter on itself and has modular. Arcbound Prototype, 2-drop, modular 2. Arcbound Bruiser, Arcbound Reclaimer to get back our artifacts and making use of its plus counters on it, which is amazing. Esper Sentinel is really useful in this deck. Allows us to draw a lot of cards, and if we play it in the later turns, then because of our commander, it'll be very powerful. It'll have a lot of power and toughness, of course, but because it'll have a lot of power, our opponent may not be able to pay the X cost for when they cast their first non-creature spell each turn. So we'll always get a card off of Esper Sentinel, guaranteed. And even in the early game when we don't have our commander so great in this deck on either section of the game. Together Forever to bring back our creatures, because Arcbound Reclaimer is only for artifacts, whereas this can get everything in every creature in our non-token creature in our deck back, thanks to its ability. Myriad Construct can create us an army when it dies in a real hurry, and it can be useful because we can play this on like turn 7, and if our opponent has, and since most of the time you're going to see people running some non-basic lands like Gaia's Cradle or the Urborg combo with Cabal Coffers. So some non-basic lands are going to be out there, and you're going to be able to take advantage of that by buffing up Myriad Construct. In addition to giving it all the plus counters from your commander. Hangerback Walker can also create an army when it dies. And it's really good in this deck because you don't have to pay as much, probably, depending on how many plus counters you have in your commander to get it to the size you want it. So then when it dies, you can get the amount of tokens you want, or if you want a really big blocker or attacker. Not to mention, this can also put plus counters on itself by tapping for 1 generic and tapping itself. But in this deck, it's easier to cast this, and it'll be very big. Spin Crusher, probably would recommend you put this in this deck because an unblockable creature in this deck could probably end up winning you the game or keeping you in the game, or making you a threat. Because you can remove counters, a plus counter from this, to make it unblockable on that turn. So you got like, so this has like 12 plus counters on it, right? That's a 12, 14. And you remove one. So what? It's now an 11, 13 that's unblockable. Not to mention when this blocks, you put a plus and put some counter on it. So that's nice. So Truth and Justice for more proliferation and putting a plus counter on a creature we control. So when we deal combat damage with this, when an equipped creature we control deals combat damage with this, it can end up being very beneficial because we could put the plus count on our commander and then proliferate, buffing up our entire team, including our commander, which will be very important because that allows us to buff up our non-token creatures when they enter the battlefield thanks to our commander, even more than what they already would have been. Great for operation to do the same thing as well, sort of Truth and Justice, and I was going to use, Thumbing Bird, Proliferate, Core Prowler, Proliferate, and Infect. So with all this proliferation, we can end up getting rid of some indestructible threat, because if a creature has 0 toughness, even if it's indestructible, it still dies. And in fact, in this case, is one of the ways to kill it with -1/-1 counters. And being able to proliferate as much as possible is pretty nice. So that's why I chose this. Not to mention, you could end up killing your opponent pretty fast with that in this deck. So I definitely recommend maybe some infect cards, although it may lose you some friends. It'll definitely win you some games. Cure's Dambreaker, Proliferation, Contagion Engine can just wipe someone's board and also proliferate a bunch. Guildpact Informant will proliferate. Vile Drake, Infect, Proliferate as an activated ability, which can really help you go far, especially with what is the card? Crystalline Crawler, excuse me. You activate, you have like you have all your lands tapped, but you've got like a whole bunch of plus counters, say like 12 on Crystalline Crawler, right? No, 16. So you've got like 16 plus counters on Crystalline Crawler, right? You use that to proliferate 4 times with Crystalline Drake. And then between proliferating that much, you'll be able to proliferate an additional time with Crystalline Crawler because you'll proliferate 4 times, leaving you with 4 plus counters. So with 16 plus counters, you could proliferate five times with Viral Drake, and that can be 5 more plus counters or like other counters on like your commander and everything else. Not to mention that could be 5 more poison counters on a player, which most likely will kill them. Lighted Agent, this is just dirty. 2 mana, Infect, unblockable, 1/1 in this deck. Definitely would recommend. Cathar's Crusade, buff up the entire board. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield under our control. So our commander buffs up the non-token creature entering the battlefield, and then the non-token creature entering the battlefield buffs itself up and everyone else on our board, including our commander. Elish Norn, Grand Genobite, great creature. Debuffs are opponent's boards and buffs up our own, not to mention force him vigilance. Herald of Secret Streams can just end the game outright because it makes creatures you control plus counters on them unblockable. I mean, we have infect creatures in here, not to mention some of our proliferate creatures, most of our creatures that are able to proliferate a lot within the course of the game and not just once. It like Guildpact Informant, Thumbing Bird, or like Grateful Apparition need to deal combat damage, and because of this, we'll be able to proliferate a lot more probably. This is double Primal Dawn because why not? I mean, Flying Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible, 4/8. It may not be a 4/8 when it enters the battlefield. Because I mean, 8 mana, that's like 4 turns to buff up your commander really big with like all sorts of keyword counters and plus counters. So by the time you get this out, it may not be a 4/8, but like a 10-14 with lifelink. In addition to everything else, Lugior, Gaeda's Gift. The creature gets +1 for each power on it. This can really buff up our commander a lot, or another creature. So this is an amazing card. Definitely would recommend you put in this deck. Just like Deep Glow Skate, I mean, doubling up the number of each kind of counter on any number of targeted permanents when this enters the battlefield. If you're able to blink this in this deck, you're going to be in business. I mean, you taking like 6 counters from your commander and turning it to 12 in this deck, that's insane. Not to mention the amount of counters this could enter in with. And Harmonicon double up on the number of triggers we get out of our commander. So this will buff up. So this will now we're buffing up our cards, our non-turning creatures when they are battlefield twice with our commander, thanks to Pan Harmonicon. So they're going to be twice as big as what they would be, as opposed to not having Pan Harmonicon. So say you have like the creature with 3 plus counters. Now it's going to be 6. Unstable of the Realm is an amazing creature in this deck because with how many plus counters it can get put onto it, especially when it enters the battlefield, that can end up exiling a lot of non-land permanents until it leaves the battlefield, of course. So we could use this to blink our own stuff in a way, or contain some other stuff that is just causing us trouble, like Annihilea, the Crewfix, a Fires of Invention, Galta, things like that. Sage of Hours, definitely recommend this. I mean, being able to get extra turns by removing multiple counters from a creature, yes, please sign me up. And especially being able to proliferate these days and in this deck, you're definitely going to want this in here. I'd be surprised if Wizards didn't throw that in the actual pre-con. Then think Biomancer is in here to help us draw cards. We do have to discard though, but still pretty good. Resourceful Defense is nice because we can move counters from target permanent we control to another target permanent we control. And it kind of works like Ozolith here. Instead of just holding it somewhere, it just puts it on another target permanent you control. So we could have like a creature with 6 plus counters on it, but it's not doing much. But then we have a commander with like 1 plus counter on it. With Resourceful Defense here, we can pay 5 mana, and then suddenly our commander has 6 more plus counters on it, totaling in at 7. Or we could have like so many more, like ability, like keyword counters, or shield counters, which can be nice. Twilight Drover can use the counters it gets from our commander to create tokens, which is amazing. Allows us to go wide. Elite Scale Guard, tap down blockers since we'll be attacking with creatures with plus counters on them. Walking Ballista, again, another way to deal direct damage and get rid of like annoying creatures. Then we got Karn's Bastion for proliferate and Nesting Grounds to move counters around. Not like resourceful defense, which can move around so many, but like this singular, but still pretty nice utility. And then we've got 24 basic planes and 24 basic islands. And with that, the end of this commander guide starring Denry Flynn, editor-in-chief. I hope you guys enjoyed this EDH guide. And if you did, please like and subscribe. Like I said, we're only at 35. I like that number to see the number goes up. It means a lot to me. Thank you to all of you who have been currently subscribed. If you want to be one of those people, just subscribe. That's all you have to do. Hit the like button. I appreciate the likes I've been getting here lately. Really shows me that you guys care, and I like to see that. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss another one of my videos coming up on this channel. Oh, don't forget to comment. Probably should have said that first, but it doesn't matter what order we go in. Just like how it doesn't matter what cards you use. This, like I said, or I've been neglecting to say, I think I should say, these EDH guides are just to get you pointed in the right direction. You don't have to use all the cards. You can use some of the cards, none of the cards, all the cards. It's really up to you. It's just getting you pointed in a direction. But about commenting, I like feedback from you guys, so please comment. And for the first one, you can name a commander and maybe even a style if you feel like it, which please do. I like being challenged a bit, and you can make that request and I will fulfill your request by dedicating a future episode to said commander and the style of it if you chose one in a future episode as soon as I can, whenever I can. And don't forget to share my videos with other people, and this one included, with people on the internet. And I believe with that said, that is everything. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.